the most incredible Gator clubs I've ever spoken to. It was packed. I mean, I would bet 200 people there, and celebrities were there. Not me. There were actual celebrities. Fred Ridley, who was being honored there, who is, of course, the chairman of Augusta National, chairman of the Masters. I applied for that job and was turned down. They said, A, you have to be a member. B, you have to do shot better than 85 here. That's the only thing I shot there, one round there. He was great, and he had great stories. Andy Bean, one of the great Gators of all time, was there. Talked to him a little bit as well. And then when I was done, David Hitchcock came up. And you guys, I know that a lot of you young kiddies are not going to know David Hitchcock. David Hitchcock was one of my favorite players when I was a kid. Was I a kid? It was like not when I was a kid. I wasn't a young adult. Okay, number 66. He was like 5'10", playing nose guard, and he was as good. It was unbelievable. He was telling me the story that when Doug Dickey came in as their new coach in 1970, obviously, Dickey brought in some big, strong defensive linemen and said, I don't think there was a transfer portal there. I mean, there was something else like recruiting, and he said just beat out the short guy. That's all you got to do. It's not going to be hard. And he didn't beat him out because the guy was ferocious. In fact, I think I met his wife. It might have been somebody totally in the collateral of it, but she was talking to me, and I said, "Man, he was a warrior. He's a legend. I love this guy." And it might not have been his wife. But anyway, it was so much fun going down there and seeing a gigantic Gator crowd. They're excited. I pulled out all my great Spurrier stories. I hadn't spoken to them, so appreciate Jeff Cardozo for not being able to do it. Of course, Jeff was here last night doing the coach's show, and the coach was part of it, because Scott Carter couldn't do it. So Coach Spurrier was there. So kind of cool. But this is where we are, where we're kind of like we're ready for this football season to start. We have kind of done talking season, which I still give. I mean, I think Steve Spurrier should have copyrighted talking season when you think about it. He's the guy who came up with it. That's just talking season. He said that one day on a radio show, I think it was. And next thing you know, it's all anybody calls it is talking season. I think everybody's ready for it to end. We're ready for football. We'll have it in less than 24 hours. There'll be a football game on my television. I'm excited about that. I'm ready for it. So we can kind of dismiss all the stuff we've been talking about, but it's still part of the news right now. The difference is right now, like, I heard guys on radio today talking about what is it Gordon Gee or Gordon G? The president of West Virginia used to be at Vanderbilt. Said he would vote against any expansion. He is on the committee that will vote on the expansion, so it may be 11-1. But that my concern is not that he's the problem. My concern is that we're in a situation now where, just despite the SEC, a lot of people are taking that approach of let's do something to keep power from getting worse, or let's do something. Look, nobody, and we're going to get Greg Sankey on in a couple of weeks. And in fact, we're going to talk to Josh Kendall today from The Athletic, who did talk to Greg Sankey last week and had a great interview with him. But we're at the point where it's just getting ridiculous, where here's another thing we're not going to do, or here's what we're going to do. We had the great alliance meeting where they had a press conference about nothing. And I want to give credit to myself. I'm the first one that said it was a Seinfeld episode, but now I'm seeing everybody else is picking that up. But it was a Seinfeld episode. It was about nothing. So the alliance, we have an alliance. What we're going to do, nobody knows. Nobody cares either right now. so we had that. You had the Pac-12 say, we're going to make an announcement Friday or Thursday or Friday. I think they actually said Friday, but they made it on Thursday about possible expansion. In their announcement, we're not going to do it. Come on. We need football so bad. It's ridiculous what's going on out there. And we'll talk more about that a little bit. But, I mean, I just want to talk about football. All right, let's talk about Gator football. How about that? And believe me, we're going to be dominant with Gator football the rest of the way. Game next week. Can't wait. Monday, Chris Doring will be on the show. Can't wait to have him on. And Friday, of course, it's game week, so I got to have Robbie Andrew on. You know that. Robbie has a new sponsor, and we'll talk about, kind of our favorite opening games. I did do a thing for the Book of Lists recently about that, and also the 10 weirdest opening days. That is going to run on Monday, I believe. Yes. I've been trying to catch up on everything. There are some weird ones. And I think one of them I'm also going to write about was against FAU when Florida was a 33-point favorite and had to go to overtime. These are all stories you'll see eventually, and I'll talk about eventually. All right, so we had all that. We've had all the different schools saying that they're going to demand vaccination cards, or you're going to have to show that you've had a negative test, which to me, is kind of stupid, because you can go get a negative test and then just kind of go make out with somebody who's got COVID and come into this thing, hey, I got a negative test. That's not going to solve the problem, I think. At Florida, obviously, Florida can't do anything about it. And this, again, becomes a political bouncing ball, which is kind of sad in a way, but Florida's not allowed to. Florida, I think, would like to. I don't know that, but I think the University of Florida would love to say you can't walk into our stadium unless you've been vaccinated, but they can't because of the situation with the politics of it. And that's kind of sad. But you've seen it at Oregon, Oregon State, Boston College, LSU, of course, got a lot of love, and everybody assumed that. It was kind of funny when LSU did it. Everybody goes, "Oh, the other teams in the SEC will follow suit." It's not about being in the SEC. It's where you live. It's who is your governor, who are your politicians, who are on your board of trustees. That's what it matters. It doesn't matter whether you're in a conference or not. So the SEC can't demand it. It's kind of like with the NFL. The NFL can't demand testing. All the NFL can do is fine you when you don't wear masks within the facility. And that's what happened this week with a couple of players. Well, although the NFL, I will give them credit, 93% vaccinated. And I am not for the ever going to say, you must do this or else. This is not China, Well, China probably isn't doing a good example. But this is not a place where you, under martial law, it just makes sense to get vaccinated. And a lot of people still arguing against it. What are you going to do? All right, so we do know this. Florida's finished camp, and we've not heard any more bad news. And as you know, I believe the only news out of camp is bad news. The good news we keep hearing is stuff that I don't know. I got to see it. Again, this is where I am. I got to see it. I want to see if this is true that DeJuan Black, who we all thought was a huge get for Florida, but couldn't get into school. And I remember calling him. I got his phone number, and I called him, or I texted him. I said, "Hey, this is Pat Dooley. I'm a sports columnist at the Gainesville Sun. This a couple of years ago. Love to talk to you about signing with Florida." And he said, "Yeah, man. Yeah, dog." He called me dog, which I didn't know. It's probably accurate. I am a dog. But we talked about text, but he never would talk to me. because he knew, and I'm sure people got to him. Don't talk to the media. We don't think we can get you into school. They couldn't get him into school. And now he's here. He did his work. Good for him. And everybody's saying he's a beast out there. He's probably going to play. And they don't even know where he's going to play in that secondary, maybe star, maybe strong safety, which still comes down to the biggest thing for me. I've flipped on this part of it, okay? I told everybody that the key to this football team was going to be the offensive line, and it's going to be a huge key. But it may be the safety position. From everything I'm hearing, there's still a lot of concerns about who's not who's going to play there, because I think Trevez Johnson will be one of them, and the other one's still being competed for. I just worry about the secondary. Okay, now, if you're a great front seven, your secondary is not as important. I think this could be a great front seven. I don't know if it will be. I mean, I think when you have that interior rush, and I remember Spurrier telling me, well, he got on Bobby Stoops one time because they rushed four. I think it was the Tennessee game when T. Martin scrambled away and got the first down that allowed them to have the field goal that ended up winning the game. And he's like, Bobby, why are you rushing forward? Well, we got to put pressure on him. He goes, those middle guys aren't going to get there. Those big defensive tackles aren't going to get there. So just rush three. Now, if you know me in any way, I hate the three-man rush. I believe in bringing five. I bring in a guy aren't looking for, you don't account for, and make the quarterback throw it quickly I'm talking about Hail Mary plays. So anyway, that's a long-winded story of telling you that DeJuan Black apparently is really having good camp, and we hope he ends up being really good. It's going to be interesting. We have football this week. Also, Florida announced, not a big surprise, but it's certainly great, that Leonard George and Willie Jackson will be honored at the first game. And Florida, these were the two first African-American athletes to sign with Florida. Or I don't know if they were the first athletes, but they definitely were the first football players. Kind of changed the dynamic. We had Nat Moore talking about it. We had Jimmy DeBose talking about it as well. Great for them. Two really good guys as well. But it's really cool that Florida's doing this. I think it's huge that they are. I don't know if they're going to be, I don't think they're going to be Mr. Two Bits or not. They're just going to honor him. They're going to do that endowment that we talked about here on this show. What feels like 6 years ago, but I think it was 6 weeks ago with Jimmy DeBose. But when you think about it, they deserve to be honored. Maybe statues. I'm all for that. And also, by the way, I wasn't even going to mention this. I didn't even write this down. Scott Strickland was on Steve Russell's show the other day, and he said he's thinking about revisiting the rules for the Ring of Honor. How many times have I said that? Okay, I've said it here. I said it in the paper. I said it on radio. Finally, they're going to do it. They're going to maybe talk about putting a committee together. Hello, I'm right here. All you got to do is talk to me. I just had, what do you call it? Breaking bread. I just broke bread with David Hitchcock. I'm not saying he's in the Ring of Honor, but at least I knew he was when he came up to me. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Josh Kendall from The Athletic is going to join us. We'll talk to him about all the craziness of college football, and I know he's anxious for it to start as well. And then, of course, we'll get to all of our great sponsors and all the cool things that we do here. You're listening to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Shack Allen Mercandone Studios at the podcast room of Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you,
car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shakow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shakow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Drip Co. To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam Drip Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. This is Pat Dooley encouraging you to become a member of the Gainesville Quarterback Club, the oldest organization anywhere dedicated to Gator football. The club meets weekly during football season with an impressive list of speakers, including Bobby Stoops, Bill Fulmer, Steve Spurrier this year. Meetings are held at the Best Western Gateway Grand, and they have a special offer for you. The first 3 meetings you can attend for only $100. Believe me, this is a bargain, and trust me, you'll have a good time. Get off the bench, and it's time to score for the Gators by joining the Gainesville Quarterback Club.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
All right, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast, of course, presented by Titan MRI from the Shakow and Mercadante studios. And we are at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. And I know somebody who has a great relationship with Steve Spurrier is my friend Josh Kendall from The Athletic, who covered him for many years. And, I mean, you may be getting a franchise. They may splinter off and come up to Columbia.
I think a Steve Spurrier Grill would do well in South Carolina. I think that everywhere where he's the winningest coach in school history, he should put a location.
I told him, I said, you need to go coach somewhere where they got like the winningest coach has like 25 wins, and so you could do it.
Just see how many he could knock off.
Yeah, exactly. Just go.
I like it.
Just go from school to school. Obviously, we've had a crazy summer, Josh, and you've been covering it, of course, for The Athletic and on top of it. And I know you had a great conversation with Greg Sankey. Greg Sankey he's got to feel like, I won the contest, but nobody likes me, and that's okay right now. And I know that you talked to him about the situation with Oklahoma and Texas. It is really kind of a weird deal to be the SEC commissioner right now, where you've done everything perfect for your conference, maybe not great for college football, but everything answering to the presidents that employ you.
Yeah, Greg Sankey did his job. And in doing it, there's no question that he gutted the Big 12 and gave it a wound from which it might not recover. Greg Sankey's answer to that would be, accurately, the minute that Texas and Oklahoma called me, the die was cast. If Greg Sankey tells Texas and Oklahoma no, they don't just go back to the Big 12 and go on with their life. They go somewhere else. As soon as he realized they wanted to leave the Big 12, he knew if he didn't get them, they were going somewhere else. It was the easiest decision in the world to make. He knew what the repercussions would be. He knew what everybody would say about it. And I understand all of that because I don't think it is good for college football. But Greg Sankey is not the commissioner of college football. He's the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, and he made the Southeastern Conference stronger in a matter of in a 5-minute conversation, he made the Southeastern Conference much stronger.
Did he, and again, he should be the commissioner of college football because he seems to be the smartest guy in the room all the time. But did he indicate to you how long that process had gone on in terms of when they first made the call to him?
He did not. He was very hesitant to discuss any details, declined to lay out any sort of timeline, because I was very interested in that too. I would love to know, I would really love to know when Steve Sarkisian found out about this. Because
That's a great point, yeah.
If I'm Steve Sarkisian and you're hiring me away from Alabama to go to Texas, and I think I'm going to the Big 12 where I see a nice, clear path to whatever the college football playoff is, and you tell me in 2 months you may be right back in Nick Saban's division, I'm not sure I'm super excited about that, or I at least would have liked some heads up. But Greg Sankey clearly played it close to the vest. It stayed with just the presidents of the SEC for several weeks. And like the people in the SEC do, they get in line. Once the decision is made, they all get in line and say, we believe in the conference, we believe in the commissioner. It was a 14-0 vote. As Ray Tanner pointed out, it's always a 14-0 vote in the Southeastern Conference. I mean, they make sure when they come out of the room, it's a unanimous decision, no matter what anybody thinks about it.
Well, it certainly is going to be interesting to see how we go with scheduling and whether we get away from divisions. I've talked to Scott Strickland about it. He believes that divisions probably will go the way of the dodo bird, but and I think they will too. And there's going to be, in theory, Josh, if the Big 12 exploded. Now, I will say this: I don't think it will. I think the Big 10 is going to play their schedule as long as they can and make Texas and Oklahoma suffer.
Right.
But if, let's just say it imploded next week and Texas and Oklahoma could come to the SEC right away, we could be seeing the last SEC East versus West championship game in history.
That would be crazy. And I think however they set it up, they would protect the championship game, though. They put so much into that. They make so much money off of that. They tell you publicly that they believe that the SEC champion is akin to the national champion. So I don't think they kill that game. I think even if they go to pods, they figure out a way to come up with the two champions. But I'm with you. I think that the Big 12, spite is a powerful emotion. I think those people are going to hang on and make Texas and Oklahoma just sit in that and stew in that. And frankly, if I am Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M for sure, almost anybody in the SEC football-wise, I want Texas and Oklahoma to sit out there for 4 years and have to recruit in a kind of weird limbo, and because I think that weakens those programs. And so it can be all kumbaya, and it can be a 14-0 vote, but Nick Saban doesn't want Steve Sarkisian coming in here with Texas rolling. I guarantee you that. He don't want a game plan for Lincoln Riley with another Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. I guarantee you that. So I think the Big 12 wants to make Texas and Oklahoma suffer. The SEC football teams are motivated to make it last as long as possible, because that weakens Texas and Oklahoma. I mean, it might be that this thing takes the full time to cook.
Which would be like 2026?
25.
See that? 25.
25
is the last year of the deal, I think. So,
right.
Yeah,
So
it's going to be interesting.
It could be that Texas and Oklahoma come in 25. The playoff changes in 26. We could see those change. I mean, who knows? I mean, we could, they could send out a press release tomorrow and say, I mean, I might have to book a plane flight. South Carolina could be playing Texas and Austin in a month. We don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we don't know. And as we sit here, and I know we're all tired of kind of talking about it, but we have jobs to do. And even though I'm semi-retired, I still have a job to do, and you have a job to do to try to figure out what's going on. But I think we're all ready for football, maybe more so than ever this year. We're ready for actual games. I mean, if Nebraska and Illinois were playing in my backyard in October, I wouldn't look out the back window. But
right.
I cannot wait for that game tomorrow.
Absolutely. And it's not just so there. I mean, there's so many factors involved in that. And it's not just that I'm looking forward to games, is I'm looking forward to the college football experience, because we had
Yeah.
games last year, but we really didn't have a college football Saturday. We didn't have any college football Saturdays. Now, I know that with the virus, we are in some ways back to square one, and things are, I'm personally concerned about what it'll look like at the end of the season. But in 2 weeks, unless something drastic happens, SEC football stadiums are going to open with 100% capacity. They're going to be packed. It's going to be loud. People are going to be tailgating. It's not going to be that you drive up and park right next to the stadium like you did last year, and it's kind of a weird, quiet ghost town. So
Yeah.
that's what I will, Delta variant be damned. That's what I will enjoy, at least as long as it lasts.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. When you talked to Commissioner Sankey the other day, how much did he get? And we've had him on the show, and we're going to hopefully get him on together. But I know that he's like, I didn't want to go to a 6-12 team playoff, but you asked us to study it. This is what we came up with. We're fine with 4 because we're going to get 1 and maybe 2 in most years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the reasons that everybody else is so chapped, there are 2 main reasons that everybody is so chapped. They feel like the SEC did this behind closed doors, and they did, although I'm not sure what option they had. And 2, it's because the SEC has won this fight. The SEC won the fight before everybody else knew that they were fighting. So the SEC and Greg Sankey, they don't have to be worried about this. They can tell everybody else, if you want 4 teams, we'll provide 2 of the 4. If you want 12 teams, we'll provide 6 of the 12. They're operating from a position of strength, and they can let everybody else kind of run around and figure it out and just wait for them all to come back to the table.
It's really interesting and what's going on with the other conferences. And of course, the Pac-12 makes their look. We saw this alliance form, and somebody had the line. I think I might have had it first. It was a Seinfeld episode. It was a press conference about nothing, but and then the Pac-12 makes this big announcement yesterday. We're not going to expand. Ooh, okay. Let us know when the news happens. But I keep wondering about the Big 12 and whether that's going to happen, what's going to happen with it. Because, look, there's not a lot of eyes on TVs when you're talking about Lubbock and Ames and places like that. And when they talk about places they could go to get teams, okay, if you get BYU, yeah, that's attractive.
Yes.
Guess what? You're not getting Notre Dame. Cincinnati, I don't know how big college football is at Cincinnati. UCF, UCF is what it is. That's part of the
Houston,
problem.
maybe.
Yeah, there's not a lot, though, of automatic, boy, you get them. The way, and again, this goes back to what you were saying before, Josh. Oklahoma and Texas call you go, yeah, sure, come on down.
Right. No, there's not. I mean, the Big 12, it will be a success for Bob Bowlesby if they can survive as a conference, much less a Power 5 conference. I mean, if you get BYU and Houston and can just keep everybody in the office employed, that's a win for Bob Bowlesby. I think at this point. I'm not sure there is a Power 5 anymore. I think we're at a Power 4 right now, with a potential, depending on the ACC's deal with ESPN, which is not great, and the Pac-12 hiring some better football coaches, with the potential of having a Power 2 in the not too distant future.
Well, you and I, Josh, have had the great privilege of covering the HBC. And it's great to have him around here, and of course his restaurant here. But tell the listeners what it was like at South Carolina to cover him.
Well, I think it was probably like it was early in the Florida time. A lot of us, including me, really, to some degree, only remember the Florida that Steve Spurrier had rolling. So, but the old school Florida people who hadn't experienced success, and here comes this brash guy that says, yeah, not only do I think we're going to win, I know we're going to win. Just y'all just y'all stay over there and let me do my thing, and we'll win football games. And they did. And so at South Carolina, South Carolina was Florida on steroids from an underachievement and long-suffering standpoint. They were, they had been playing football for 100 years. They had been in the SEC for 15 or whatever, getting their heads beat in and getting told, you don't belong in the SEC. You're just here to pump up the numbers. And then Steve Spurrier comes in, and they don't win right away, but they get a few notable wins right away. And then they have those glory years. It's impossible to explain to somebody who's not a Carolina person, a Carolina fan, or who's lived it up close, what that meant to the Carolina people and how much they enjoyed that span, and how, mystified even they were that it was going on. I think a lot of them, even in their hearts, didn't think they could do that. And they did. And it was the glory years in every sense of the athletic term for South Carolina.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. I was talking to a group last night, and I was saying how Florida had to run through from 06 to 08 where they win the basketball, the football, then they win a Heisman, then they win another basketball, then they win another national championship. That probably will never happen again in the history of college sports. But the trouble is, you get that taste in your mouth and you don't want to let it go. And that's similar with the 11 win seasons for Coach Spurrier up in South Carolina. Those fans want to get back to that.
Right. And your bigger point fits too, because the baseball team won the national championship in 10 and 11 during that run.
Right. That's right.
So it was like,
beat the Gators too.
It was like a dream for Carolina people. And it's amazing that you can take 100 years of futility and then put 4 great years behind it, and suddenly everybody thinks it should always be like the 4 years and forgets the 100 before it.
That's true.
I think I've said this before. I don't think I'm breaking any news. I don't think South Carolina will win 11 games a year, 3 years in a row. At least until
you're saying
ever until at least if we go to 15 game schedules, whatever,
right.
All bets are off. I don't want people. I don't mean that as an insult to South Carolina. I mean it with reverence toward how difficult that was to do the first time. And I'm not saying South Carolina won't win a national championship, but 3 years in a row where you win 11 games, that's hard.
How do you like Shane Beamer so far?
Like him a lot. There's nothing not to like. He's done everything right.
Seems like a good guy, yeah.
That you can do from December until the middle of August. Now comes the important part and the harder part. We'll just see. He doesn't have coordinator experience or head coaching experience. We know that. We also know that the guy up in the upstate didn't have any of those either when he took over there. And Carolina people, despite the fact that they won't say that person's name, would love to follow that same pattern.
They don't say his name?
Oh, they will, but usually it will be followed or preceded by an epithet.
That's got to be the hardest thing for South Carolina fans, is to basically, when that's happening upstate, with Clemson and how successful they've been. And Spurrier had that run where he beat them every year.
Beat them 5 years in a row. That had never happened before. And since that 5-game winning streak, Carolina hasn't won a one.
And hadn't come close, right?
Not particularly. They had a moment there one night a couple of years ago where Jake Bentley got hot and they had about a 50-40 game. And maybe they had a shot at that game, but that was as close as they got.
All right, before I let you go, and we appreciate your time, Josh. It's always great talking to you, buddy. Your prediction for the SEC East and West, how do you think it plays out in terms of who wins and who will be in contention?
Well, I hate being boring, but I am. I think Georgia and Alabama win it. What I'm interested in is, are the quarterbacks at the two challengers, who I consider the two challengers, Haynes King at Texas A&M and Emory Jones at Florida, if those guys are special or dynamic in some way, is that enough to push those two teams into contention with the favorites? I would hope that it is. I would like for it to be. I don't think that the SEC is interesting if the regular season is just Georgia and Alabama, making googly eyes at each other as they go toward Atlanta. I would rather there be some drama in the meantime, and I think that comes down to Haynes King and Emory Jones and what they can bring to their teams.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to totally unknown, like you, and that's why I think you're as ready as I am to see football games, so we can say, hey, this guy might be good, or this guy is not any good. So,
yes.
Hey, appreciate your time, Josh. It's always great talking to you, buddy. Since I couldn't come to media days this year, I didn't get to see you, but we always usually break bread and everything. So great talking to you, and thanks so much, Josh Kendall from The Athletic. Thank you.
Thank you, Paps. Good to see you.
All right. We will take a break, and we will come back, and we will get to all of our cool things that everybody loves to talk about, including the hand law 3 things, including the Friday football fix, the last one of the year, at least last one of this. Yeah, it'll be the last one of the year. From then on, we're going to do something different. And the Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week and Leonardo's Quick Picks. We got a football game to pick, a college football game. Yay! Yay me! All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and do all of that and more on another Dooley Noted podcast from the Shakow and Mercandani studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shakow Mercadante. 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shakow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam's Ribco to Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Ribco to Go. Come on down and enjoy it. This is Pat Dooley encouraging you to become a member of the Gainesville Quarterback Club, the oldest organization anywhere dedicated to Gator football. The club meets weekly during football season with an impressive list of speakers, including Bobby Stoops, Phil Fulmer, Steve Spurrier this year. Meetings are held at the Best Western Gateway Grand, and they have a special offer for you. The first 3 meetings you can attend for only $100. Believe me, this is a bargain, and trust me, you'll have a good time. Get off the bench, and it's time to score for the Gators by joining the Gainesville Quarterback Club.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Spite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast from the Shack Al Mercandani Studios. We appreciate everybody for watching or listening, and hopefully the viewership continues to go in the right direction. We brought on another sponsor that will actually is up there now, but we'll start really in earnest next month, and then we're still looking for one more. We had somebody drop out, no big deal. But we're looking for one more if anybody is interested in getting involved. And we appreciate all of our sponsors, believe me. They're great. It's tremendous. It's hard to believe that many people. I've got all my equipment here. I've got my computer. I've got my mask, my phone, my notebook. This is the lifeblood of Pat Dooley right here, these legal pads. This is, I've got like a stack of them, and every one of them has something different on them. That's what happens when you have too many jobs and you're supposed to be retired. All right, we got a lot of things to get to, as we know. As you know, every show that we do. And again, it's going to be fun on next week. Again, love Josh Kendall being on. Monday, we're going to have the great Chris Doring is going to be on, and we're going to talk a lot of college football with him. And then on Friday, Robbie Andrew, because it's the start of football season, our first one in 1,000 years where we weren't going to the game. I think this is the first opener I'm going to miss since, I don't know. I got to think about that. And look, you can easily say, why are you going to miss it? I have a ticket if I want to go. I want to stay home and watch Georgia Clemson. I got to be honest with you. I'm being one of those people that college football is mad at right now. I want to stay home and watch that game. It's too good a game. And I want to watch that UCLA LSU game too. So anyway, here we go. Let's start out with the Hand Law 3 Things. Hand Law 3 Things is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website, www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. We love Hand Law and all they're doing. Okay, number 1 on 3 things. Quarterbacks are being named all over the place. You look up, somebody's naming a quarterback. The New Orleans Saints named Jameis Winston to be their starter. Not totally surprising. Look, the guy's got skills. He's a great quarterback. He just makes mistakes. And I think sometimes I look back at how many turnovers he had with the Bucs, and everybody was saying, well, it's not just him. Well, Tom Brady didn't seem to have that many. I mean, I don't know how that's all going to work out. I mean, but I never thought Taysom Hill was an every down quarterback myself. He's kind of a Tebow light, and then he could run the ball, and he's got all these skills, and it's almost like I wouldn't be surprised if I was New Orleans to bring him in, kind of that leak Tebow thing, where you bring in all of a sudden, 3rd and 4, let's bring in Taysom Hill. We'll see how that goes. Teddy Bridgewater with Denver, of course. Not a big surprise there, although Drew Lock, I think probably thought he would win that job. And that's the other thing is we deal with as we go forward. Some college teams have named their quarterbacks, but not all. And that's the dynamic of it, is when you're like in college, if you name a starting quarterback, the other one's already thinking transfer portal. If you name one, the other reason not to name one early is the other team, especially if you have a tough opener. For example, Texas, Steve Sarkisian hasn't named a starting quarterback. They play Louisiana, which normally would be an easy opener. We saw Louisiana last year. That was a good football team and won a lot of games, and they're ranked in the top 25. So you don't want the opponent to know, and that's part of the paranoia of college coaches, which is more than NFL coaches. I don't know. Paranoia is maybe the same. They're directed differently. In the NFL, you're worried more about guys filming your practices. But in college, you just don't want anybody to know anything about you. Well, we didn't even practice. We're not even practicing. I don't know why some coaches just don't take their teams to, like, I don't know, Cabo, and just practice them there so nobody could find out anything about them, and they come back for their big game. But that only helps you for one game. So we'll see that. Well, there is a different dilemma. In the pros, go ahead and name your quarterback. Look, you're not going to change your offense. You're going to run your offense no matter who your quarterback is. And really, guys in the pros are all kind of out of the same mold. And I don't think it's that big a deal, but we'll see. Okay, that's number one. Number two, unfortunately, Florida's soccer team is not off to the ideal start. 0-2-1. Losing to UCF 2-0 last night, and it's going to be, look, the state of Florida has kind of passed the University of Florida by in soccer. Don't forget, FSU played for the national title last year, and they're really good again. UCF and USF are both ranked, and here's where Florida is. And they've got to, it's going to take a while to get it back. Hopefully, this is not a sharp decline and it lasts forever, kind of like women's basketball, which never seems to be able to get back. I think they will be able to recruit and get back to where they need to be. But also, important to mention, volleyball starts tonight, I think. I don't know if it's today or tonight. I think it's tonight. They're out in the West Coast, so it's always nighttime in the West Coast if you're in the East Coast. They play San Francisco, and it'll be interesting to follow them. They get Stanford coming up, and that'll be certainly fascinating. So we are full bore with college sports at the University of Florida. I know that because there are 1 million students walking around, and apparently none of them is worried about whether they can get hit by my car. Their only concern is, I am a student here. I can walk wherever I want. Look, I got a daughter who's a student there, and I would tell her, just don't walk in front of a car just because you think you own this university, because somebody could hit you. And guess who loses then? All right, finally, number three, the Big 12 announced that it is going to look into expansion. We talked about this a little bit with Josh, and of course, the Pac-12 said no, but the Big 12 is looking into it. I just don't know who's going to add value. But if I was them, I would look at SMU because of the Dallas connection. Obviously, when they're in Dallas, that's part of the reason. Obviously, they would love to get BYU. I don't know that BYU's interested. And remember just a few years ago when the Big 12 said, hey, we're open for business. Anybody interested in coming to the Big 12, please line up here, fill out a form. It was like going to a restaurant and filling out, hey, I want to be a hostess. I want to be a waiter. I want to do this. And then everybody went, after they looked them all over, they went, nah, we're good. We don't want any waiters here. And that's basically what the Big 12 did. It doesn't mean, though, that those conferences still aren't going to be excited about it. Look, I'm with you guys. I am tired of talking about all this stuff. I'm tired of talking about expansion. I'm tired of talking about the playoffs that aren't going to happen maybe for a long time. And it's kind of disturbing the more I hear negative talk about the potential of the 12-team playoff, which I'm looking forward to. And look, I'm the guy. I'll just tell you the truth, man. I just want more games. I want more meaningful games. And I know that part of it should be that, hey, Pat, you know, these poor players are going to could play as many as 17 games. I'm like, yeah, I get it. And maybe I should feel bad about it, but I don't. I'm sorry, I just want more games. But it just seems there's a lot of negative turn towards that, when we're going to get the playoff, whether we're going to get the playoff. And this goes back to the whole thing with the Big 12. If the Big 12 implodes, it changes a lot of things. And one of them is that we could easily see then Texas and Oklahoma come aboard right away. And it almost feels like that's going to be the engine that gets things going. They come aboard the SEC. The SEC goes away from divisions. Bada bing, bada boom. That's the way it'll work. All right. So that is the hand law of three things, and we appreciate Chris Hand and the great people there. All right. Time for our Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the week. I am leaning that way today. Adams Ribco to go. I'm tired. I still got to do a radio show. I don't want to make my wife cook. She's worked all week. She's had to go do some other things. You know, her father's not in great shape. She's had to go see him. I don't want to take the burden off her, but I darn sure don't want to cook tonight, even on the grill. So I'm leaning towards that Adams Ribco to go. I may go for the ribs again. Those like 6 ribs you get. Oh God, they're so good. Yeah, I'm going. That's where I'm going. She's going to be fine with that, I think. She likes Adam too. She likes Adam and Michelle, but she also likes Adam's Ribco to go. Adam's Ribco to go, Gator of the week. This one is, and again, next week we're going to have a lot to choose from, believe me, with all the sports that are going on. But this week it's Annabelle Fuller, who is, of course, a women's golfer at Florida and has had an unbelievable summer, including making the cut in an LPGA tournament. Right now she's in the Curtis Cup. I was looking at the play-by-play or the whatever StatCast, and they were up in their match. But I always wonder, what do you do if somebody's playing for a foreign country? Do you root for the U.S. or do you root for Annabelle Fuller? I don't know anybody that's on the American team. I know Annabelle Fuller, University of Florida. She plays for the English-Irish team, and they're ahead right now. They're ahead, and actually the English-Irish team are also ahead. But she has also been named to the Annika Sorenstam watch list for Player of the Year. So what a summer she's having. And that sounds like a pretty good story for Pat Dooley to work on. Maybe for the Alumni Magazine. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. But she, and again, I still think we need certificates for this, is the Adams Ribco to go Gator of the week. And congratulations to her. And what a summer she's having. That's great for her. All right, time for the Leonardo's Quick Picks here in the Shackle and Mercadante Studios on another Duly Noted podcast. And, of course, we are going to be doing nothing but football for a while. And we aren't going to get into any of these other sports. I'm sorry. We're going to do nothing but football in the picks. And we're going to expand the picks a little more, have more games. We got through the summer coming up with some weird things just to make people and look, by the way, a lot of you did pick the Saints to beat the Bucs last week, and so we got a lot of qualifiers last week. The week before we didn't do very good, but last week certainly had a lot of qualifiers. So our game, we have games, yay, for the Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks, and it's the one we've been talking about, even though it's not that great a game. But we're talking about it because it's the first game. 1 o'clock. I think it's on Fox. Maybe it's on ESPN. Anyway, you'll find it. Nebraska at Illinois. Oh, Nelly. Nebraska comes rocking in with those Cornhuskers. The Illinois Fighting Illini. What do they call now? They still call the Fighting Illini? Because that was an Indian thing. I don't know if they are. Anyway, the Illinois Orange, maybe that's what they're called. They are 7-point underdogs. I'll tell you, they got a decent team. They got a lot of guys back. Nebraska, it is such a pressure game for Scott Frost to win this game. I'm curious to see what happens. So it's very easy. You either go Nebraska or you go Illinois. You get 7 points if you take Illinois at home. Not that Champaign, as my great friend Gary Shelton, the late Gary Shelton said one day, Champaign is what they opened when they left that town. I've been there, ain't much, but they're doing a lot with facilities there, and of course Brett Bielema is their coach. So I will be honest, I'll be watching the game. I'm rooting for Illinois. I may be disappointed, but not that I'm a big Brett Bielema fan, but at least I got an SEC tie there, and it's kind of interesting to think about. Scott Frost could have been the Florida coach, in theory, because when they went after Chip Kelly and didn't get him, the first call was to Scott Frost's agent, and his agent said, he's going to Nebraska, don't bother. But they were interested in him. And I don't know if it would have worked out, and they might not have hired him. Everybody always says, oh, I heard they wanted to hire Scott Frost. Well, they were going to at least talk to him or ask about him. That's what you do. All right, and finally, our Friday football fix, sponsored by Hesser and Kipke, a Gainesville law firm that specializes in family law and workers' comp, and by the Gainesville Quarterback Club, which on Tuesday will have the great Laura Rutledge as their speaker, and Pat Dooley will introduce her and do all that. So that's right there enough to make you want to come to the Quarterback Club. Looking forward to those meetings every Tuesday, and they're really expanding things. They're going to make it kind of a bigger deal, global, where people all over the country can get on the Zoom. So that's kind of cool, and I'm looking forward to that. I thought about what I was going to do for the family Friday football fix, or not family football fix. And here's what I decided, because I want to just make this appeal to all the fans out there, especially Gator fans. 99.9% of you are Gator fans. Enjoy the season. There's a great quote, or not a quote, but it's a song lyric from Tom Petty. You can look back, but it's best not to stare. And the point is, don't worry about anything that's happened before, because nothing that happened before has anything to do with what's going to happen now. So what you've got to do is you've got to just enjoy what's in front of you. Look, we all know what's going on, and I understand people who are hesitant about going to games because could be sitting in a crowd of unvaccinated people and all that. And I get that. But if you go to the games or you're watching them on TV, enjoy the season. Trust me on this. It will fly by. All of a sudden, you'll be sitting there and you'll go, it's week 5 already? It happens. It happens every year. Just enjoy it. This is what we've been waiting for, and this is what, especially with stadiums with a bunch of people in them. Appreciate it. Appreciate why you're a college football fan. Look, the NFL's king. The NFL draws the most eyeballs. The NFL has fantasy football. The NFL has a Super Bowl where 8 billion people watch it. But we all know college football is better. We know it's better because we have cooler things. And I love the NFL, but I adore college football. And that's why I'm going to really try hard this year to take a minute during every game I see. And I'll be watching a lot of them, trust me. And just appreciate the sport. It's the best sport in the world. I love it more than anything. And I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it. But sometimes you have to slow down because all of a sudden you go, all right, that's good. We had a great Saturday, and the NFL games are okay. When's the next game? Well, the next game's not for a few days. You got to calm down. Appreciate it. And we'll be here to appreciate it with you, I promise you. We'll have so much fun. We are here. We are at game week for Nebraska, Illinois. Game day is tomorrow. And then game week for the Gators will be Monday. And I can't wait for Monday's show with Chris Doring. We'll have a lot of fun there. All right, that's going to do it for today's Duly Noted podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I did have fun bringing it to you. I hope my friends in Lakeland watched it, because that's the best Gator club I've ever been around. They were amazing, and we had a blast down there. And I made it home, guys, in case you were wondering. Yes, made it all the way home easily. All right, that's going to do it for me, and it's going to do it for Evan, who's my wonderful producer. It's going to do it for us here at the Shackhound Mercandone Studios, at the podcast room for Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. And you also... it's up there. I think if you go on Twitter, you can find it on 1010XL. We did a roundtable right here in this room that's up now, and it's really fun. I could do that every day, and they paid me for it, and they didn't have to. They don't know that, though. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Until next time, I'm Pat Dooley. I'm deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.